Desmond Wells is the current basketball player for the University of Maryland. In July 2012, Wells was attending Xavier University and was accused of raping another student. Xavier University expelled Wells, even though the local prosecutor and a grand jury declined to press charges based on insubstantial evidence. But Wells says that his reputation was ruined as a result of the expulsion. Other students perceived his expulsion from the university as guilt and judged him based on that information. Joseph Dieters was the local prosecutor assigned to Wells's case. In an article for the USA Today in 2013, Dieters spoke out against Xavier University, calling their expulsion process fundamentally unfair and seriously flawed. But Xavier University is not the only school facing this type of criticism for the way that they handle cases of sexual misconduct. In 1972, a new law was passed called Title IX, which was designed to prevent gender discrimination in educational institutions. In a 2015 article for the Washington Post, Joe Cohn says that courts and federal agencies have interpreted Title IX to require universities to respond to known instances of sexual discrimination in a manner that is reasonably calculated to redress discrimination and prevent recurrence. However, there was no guidance offered on how exactly colleges should go about handling these types of cases. And as a result, in 2014, the Columbus Dispatch reported that the number of federal lawsuits concerning Title IX more than doubled between 2012 and 2014. There are a growing number of stories available that detail victims who were forced to sit at the same table as their attackers, or students who were found guilty and expelled from their schools only to be determined later to be innocent of the crime. So all this goes to show is that colleges are simply not equipped to handle cases of sexual misconduct. These flawed policies with the way that colleges handle these cases affects victims whose attackers were later found innocent. These students often face harassment, threats, and taunting from other students who believe that they made up their stories. For example, in September 2013, a female student at Hobart and William Smith colleges accused several members of the football team of raping her. A rape kit was done at a local hospital that confirmed the presence of bodily fluids and found trauma consistent with forceful sexual activity. And in addition, a friend of the students who became concerned and went looking for her whereabouts actually witnessed part of the assault. Now, the New York Times reports that an average sexual assault investigation should take around 60 days to complete, but it only took Hobart and William Smith colleges 12 days to clear the players of any wrongdoing. So the players were able to go along with their lives seemingly unaffected, while the female student faced harassments and threats from other students who believed she had made up her story. The flawed policies with colleges also affect students who are determined to be guilty of the crime and then later found innocent. In a 2014 article for Time magazine, the story was told of Caleb Warner, who was attending the University of North Dakota. He was accused of raping another student. He was found to be guilty, and the school expelled him and banned him from the school. But several months later, Warner found out that the police department actually believed that this female student had lied, and they subsequently charged her with falsifying a police report. But Warner says that the damage to his reputation had already been done, and Warner is not alone. The article, the Time magazine article, actually goes on to list several other students who had the same type of thing happen to them. Now, in general, a student who has been the victim of a sexual assault has the option of reporting the incident to either their school officials or to law enforcement. Most students will choose the college because they believe that the college is better equipped to protect their victims' rights. But school policies with handling sexual assault cases are highly flawed. For example, schools do not have the ability to process fluids. They usually do not accept certain types of evidence or witness testimony, and most schools ban lawyers from being present during the judicial hearings. In addition, the accused are unable to see the details of the allegations against them. And in some schools, the parties, the accused and the accuser, are actually forced to sit at the same table during the judicial hearing. Lancaster Online reports that federal guidelines say that a school does not need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that an assault occurred, just that it is more likely than not to have occurred. So essentially, schools do not have to follow the same policies as even the criminal justice system. Now, the White House, in an attempt to combat this problem of flawed policies with regards to sexual misconduct cases being handled by colleges, promised greater transparency at the end of 2014. And as a result, the U.S. Department of Education promptly released a list listing the number of schools that have been under investigation for Title IX violations. Now, the Bloomington Herald-Times reports that just because a school's name appears on the list does not necessarily mean that the school did anything wrong, but it does mean that the federal government has received complaints about the way the school is handling sexual assault cases. I personally was shocked when I found out that schools are actually handling these types of cases themselves. These cases, sexual assault and rape, are criminal cases. They should be handled by the criminal justice system. They carry a penalty of a felony and usually some type of prison term. I don't understand how it can be right that a school can expect to process an assault case properly when they will not accept testimony, when they won't accept witness statements or certain types of evidence, or even have the ability to process bodily fluids. The flawed policies do not actively address Title IX as it was intended. A better solution, as explained in the 2015 article in the Washington Post, would be to assign universities and law enforcement complementary rather than overlapping responsibilities. In essence, colleges are better equipped to handle counseling and provide rights, help protect the rights of the victims, where law enforcement is actually better suited to handle the criminal investigation and then to press charges if need be. So as you can see, there is substantial evidence that shows that colleges are not properly dealing with assault cases. The internet is full of stories about victims who are forced to sit at the same table as their attackers, or individuals who are accused of rape expelled from their schools and then later determined to be innocent of the crime. These flawed policies only further victimize the victims and turn innocent people into predators. It's unfortunate but true that rape and sexual assault are prevalent in today's college campuses. In a 2004 article for the Journal of Studies on Alcohol and Drugs, it was reported that roughly 1 in 20 women will be the victim of a rape while in college. But colleges are better suited to be able to provide things like counseling and protect those rights, where law enforcement should actually be handling the criminal case. I did not mind.
Droid.
Not having fun.